The majority of traders trading the financial markets are losing because of their loser's mindset. In the early phases of my trading career, I went through this exact phase. My profitable trader's mindset was just not there, but instead I had a loser's mindset. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how to remove this loser's mindset so you can start thinking like a profitable trader, just to help your life in general. I often say that if you improve your life in trading, if you improve your life outside of trading, it will follow into the other one, so that if you improve one aspect of your life, it will also improve the other. So without further ado, let's get into step one. Step one, very simply, is identification. If you ever want to make a change in your life, you first need to identify the problem. I'll put it into a simpler term that most people can probably relate to. Let's say you look in the mirror one morning and you notice you've put on a few pounds. The first step of making a change and actually realizing that you have to lose weight is by identifying the problem. The problem is you've put on too much weight. This could be for many different reasons. It could be your bad diet. It could be your lack of cardio. It could be a drinking problem perhaps, but the first step is obviously to identify the problem is there in the first place. Without that, you can't fix it. So why are you losing? Is it your mindset? Is it your life outside of trading? Are you going into the market stressed or tired? Are you struggling with your emotions before, during, or after a trade? These could be potential reasons why you are losing money in the markets. People often think that if they don't make money from trading, that it's solely down to the technicals, but I think this can be false in many different scenarios. Firstly, I could give every single person watching this video the exact blueprint for my strategy. I could give them my trading plan. I could give them my risk management. I could give them my trade management, everything in my trading plan, but how many traders will actually succeed? How many traders do you know that have the same technical knowledge as you, but they make far more money? And also, if you are a profitable trader watching this video, the same question goes to you. How many traders do you know that have the same technical knowledge, but they make far less money than you? And this all comes down to the trader and their mindset towards the markets. And by simply writing down why you think you are failing, the problem you've identified, you are on the right path to success. This first step would be made so much easier if you were already journaling over the past few months, few years, however long you have been trading, as it would be easy to go back and check, okay, during my losing period, this is what was happening to my emotions. I was anxious before getting into a trade. I was greedy when I was in a trade. And when I was in a losing position, I was so hopeful that the market would reverse and eventually go into a profit. These are all different things that you can notice from your journaling. But if you haven't journaled, you don't have all that data from previous trades, we can still start and kind of go from scratch. So first step, if that is you, someone that hasn't journaled, what I want you to do is grab a notepad, grab a pen, and just write down what you think is wrong in your trading, mindset related. And make sure you are being fully accountable. I see so many traders not holding themselves accountable for their mistakes because they want to think like they're not doing anything wrong, but the only person who is going to stop you from succeeding in the markets is yourself. So if you're not holding yourself accountable, how do you expect yourself to be profitable? It's just not going to ever happen if you do not hold yourself accountable for mistakes and for improvements that could potentially be made. So this brings us nicely into step two, and this is creating a plan. Like I said in the start of the video, change only comes from identifying the problem. But once you have identified the problem, you then need to create a plan to fix this problem, or to improve your mindset that could potentially be a problem. And you need a plan that you can actually stick to. I see so many people create a daily routine, they create a plan for success that they will never in their lifetime be able to follow. They might be able to follow it for a week or two, but long term, the likelihood of them sticking to it religiously is very, very slim. And I have fallen victim to this before as well. I think it was 2022, I set out this outrageous daily routine. I wake up at 4:30, I'd read for half an hour, I'd meditate for half an hour, I'd then do a workout at 5:30, and it was just outrageous. I was never going to stick to that. But after a few days of trying it, I was like, well, this hasn't actually changed anything. I'm not actually enjoying doing this. I'm not saying that everything's going to be enjoyable, but I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stick to it long term, so I had to evaluate and actually create a daily routine that fits around my lifestyle and how I like to live my life. And I've mentioned in previous videos on the channel, you can make trading fun to learn. If you don't enjoy learning to trade, if you don't enjoy the process of improving yourself in the markets, then you most likely won't improve ever. So this plan will differ for every single person watching this video. I can't create a video for every single problem that you might have. So what I'm going to do instead is use myself as a case study. 2020 WillssFX is going to be the case study. So we're going to go back into the past. I'm going to go through a problem I had with my mindset. I'm going to tell you the plan I created and how I actually fixed this problem to overcome it. And during this time, I obviously was a losing trader. This was early 2020, just before the pandemic, and I was just trying to make as much money as possible. At 16 years old, I'm pretty sure I was, and there were many problems, which we're going to cover. So that brings us nicely into step number 3, which is the example of my plan and my problem. When I was consistently losing money, I knew that I had to make a change. And I knew that I needed to change something, but I didn't really know what to change. So I used the exact same framework that I've spoken about over the past few minutes, and I used it myself. I got out a notepad and I wrote down exactly what I felt like I was doing wrong. The first thing that came to mind was overconfidence in the markets. And this overconfidence led to me going into trades with massive position sizes in comparison to my account balance, which, as we know, over leveraging is never a good thing, especially if you are a beginner trader. This made sense to me because I'd watched countless hours of educational content based on the technical side of trading, but I hadn't studied the psychological side of trading. And in my opinion now, it can be more important than the technicals. If you're going to focus on one thing to master first, I would always say the psychological side is the best to master, because then after that, anybody can find an edge, anybody can create a profitable strategy, but it's the trader that actually makes it profitable. So I had a profitable strategy. Everything I was doing on the backtesting side of it was working. In my data, it said that it should be profitable, but I was still losing live capital. So why was this? And the reason for this was I was going into trades not wanting to lose. I went into every single trade like it was the last trade I was ever going to take. And if you go into the markets with this mindset, you will lose money. I just wanted to flip my account. I just wanted to get rich as quick as possible. And as you probably guessed, the result of this was multiple blown accounts. And when I say multiple, I probably mean 10, 20, 30 accounts. And that is no exaggeration at all. How did I go about fixing this and creating a plan? Well, the first thing was I stopped depositing money into the account as soon as I'd blown it. This was quite easy to do. At the time, I had a decent amount of capital. I was making money reselling clothes. I would buy expensive designer brands, such as Canada Goose, Montclair, Stone Island, all these sort of brands, which were very, very popular at the time. I would buy them for cheap and I'd sell them for more profit. So I was making decent money at the time. And this meant that I had capital to keep depositing, £50, £100, £100 over and over again into my personal account. And as you probably guessed, it all went. I made the decision to stop depositing after I'd blown the account every single time. And this was a good first step. You might not be able to just simply make a change like this if you're not disciplined. You need to be disciplined if you're going to make a change. I said to myself that I was going to stop doing it, and I did stop doing it. That was the first part of my plan. So I said to myself that I'm going to track and monitor every single aspect of my trades and the thought process behind them. I wanted to know why I'm entering the trades, my thought process before entering the trade, my thought process as I'm entering the trade, my thought process during the trade, and also after the trade. These are all very important factors. As a trader, you need to know. You need to know your emotional state during every single stage of a trade. And by noting down all these problems, if you do it yourself and just trial it out for a few weeks, a few months, you can quite easily see some problems. It won't be easy to identify over one trade or two trades because you need to see a pattern. If you notice over 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of trading that before a trade, before a losing trade, you're doubting yourself, you don't want to get into the trade, you end up entering the trade, but then you move on into the trade and you want to close early because you have no confidence. This could be something you can pick up on and try and fix it. And for my example, I noticed that every time before a trade, I thought that this is the one. I can't possibly be wrong on this trade and that I need to make money. I need to win this trade. So that's why I'm risking loads. This is the trade that's going to make me rich. Did this happen on any of the trades I tracked? No, but I noticed something that I was doing wrong with my mindset, which then can be fixed. Confidence is obviously good in your trading. You need to enter the markets with confidence in your strategy, but overconfidence can lead to you being humbled violently by the markets, and they will do anything they can to humble you. So if you go in with too much confidence, you will soon regret it, whether it's this trade or the next trade, but it will happen. And many traders do what I did. They treat their next trade like it is their last trade. They treat it as if they don't make money on this trade, or as much money as possible, as much money to make them rich, then they're not going to make money in trading. But this is not the case, as we all well know. And I noticed that I wasn't focusing on the long term. I didn't want to get rich slowly. I didn't want to slowly compound my account. I didn't want to take the slow process. I wanted to get rich as quick as possible. That was why I got into trading in the first place, to get rich quick. And I needed to eliminate this thought process from my mindset. And that brings us on to step number 4, which is the fix. So there's this massive issue in my trading, and how did I go about fixing it? Well, it's probably a lot simpler than you think. So what I did was I went on a random currency pair and I took a screenshot of a losing period. If you're going to try this, you can do it on your equity curve from your back testing. You can do it on a random pair that's been going bullish for the past year, but you'll see why it is so effective in a minute. So I took that screenshot of a losing period, a bearish period, a small period out of the whole year. So if you're just looking at this without any context, you can see price is going down heavily. If you've taken a screenshot from your equity graph, you can see that the profit is going down and down and down. The balance is going down and down and down. So if this was your strategy, you would think that this is terrible. I'm a terrible trader. I'm just losing money. How could I ever make money if this is my equity graph? I then took another screenshot, zoomed out for the full year. And this will give us context to the first screenshot once we review both together. And then I made a promise to myself to scroll through the first screenshot and then the second screenshot every time before entering a trade, before calculating my risk management, just so I can see the reason why this trade doesn't matter as much as I think. So there's a quite simple reason why I did this. Some people already have got it, but for those that haven't, this is the reason why. In the first screenshot, you will see the market crashing down. Like I said, if it was a strategy, you would think it's terrible. But the second screenshot shows us the full picture, the big picture of that year. And can you identify that small bearish period? Yeah. Did it affect the year's performance? No. Would you say that just looking at that first screenshot that they can't possibly make money? Most likely. But does it show that a losing streak of 5 trades, 10 trades doesn't really matter in the long term, as long as you follow your strategy correctly? Yes. So every time I actually looked at these two photos together, I would always think to myself, okay, so even if I lost the next 5 trades, over the year, I can still be profitable. I can still become a great trader that makes lots of profit. I'm not defined as a trader by the next trade, by the next 5 trades, by the next 10 trades. But it's best to think, okay, over the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years even, what is my equity graph going to look like? Will I even remember these 3 losing trades in a row in a year's time? Most likely not. Go back on your equity graph right now. Highlight 2 losing trades. Do you remember those? Does it keep you up at night? Do you always think to yourself, what if I risk more on that trade? No, it doesn't keep you up at night. You don't constantly think about it because that trade doesn't matter. What matters is consistently following your plan in trading, consistently having the correct risk management to trade long term. And by doing this simple fix, every time I go to enter a trade, I'd always think to myself, if this loses, will I be okay? Yes. If you're using correct risk management, if you're following your plan correctly, and if you're following a plan from a strategy that you know works from your data collection, then you should have no issues risking the correct amount, having full confidence in your strategy, and not going in with too much confidence, too much risk, trying to make it on this trade. And then you will realize that making it as a trader is an accumulation of months and years of hard work, months and years of following your plan correctly and not focusing on every single trade as if it was your last. And I feel like the main lessons behind this fix are that you should never become emotionally attached to any position, and that trading is a long-term game, and that should always be your main focus. Also, losses are inevitable. You're going to lose trades, and it's how you actually act whilst you're losing that can define you as a trader. And there is not one single trade that can make or break your trading career unless you over risk. So step number 5, the outcome. Did this fix work? Did it change my trading for the better? And was I able to fix my loser's mindset? Well, you're watching me now as a profitable trader that makes consistent returns without over risking. So the fix does work, and it did work for me. So by identifying the problem that I had in my loser's mindset, creating a plan to fix this, and then implementing the fix in my trading, I was able to overcome something that had plagued my trading for months. And still to this day, I think about those 2 screenshots, and it reinforces in my brain to focus on the long term. If I have 2 losing months, it doesn't matter. That's normal. There's not one single strategy that works every single day without losing. And if it did, you would be making billions and billions of dollars. And this does emphasize the fact that every trade can lose, no matter the risk you use, no matter how many confluences you have. Even if you do everything correctly, the next trade you take can be a loser. Just think about that when you are calculating your risk. You know that this trade has a chance of losing, so don't go all in. And if this video did help you guys, be sure to like the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.